This episode of All the Things Sort of Truth is brought to you by our patron, Debbie Fittipaldi. Debbie, like many people, found The Legend of the Seeker on TV and she loved it. Naturally, when you love something, you want more of it. So again, like a lot of us, she read the Sort of Truth series. Then to get just a little bit more, she found a pretty kick-ass podcast, in my opinion, this one. And because when she loves something, she goes all in. She went to patreon.com/podcastatt and made a pledge to get gag reels, deep cut discussions, watch-alongs, and more. Debbie goes all in. Be like Debbie.
Fuck yeah. Welcome back to All the Things Sort of Truth, the alcohol-fueled chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sort of Truth series with a jar full of craft brew on the side. I'm Jade.
And I'm Nate, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 36 of Stone of Tears.
Yes, we are back after our little break last episode in Mourning for Terry. We would like to take a longer break, but life goes on and we have to rise up and live our lives like he would want us to. So we are going to continue on with the story and try and keep everybody's spirits up as high as we possibly can in this kind of crappy time. Yay, 2020.
Yay. Love this year.
All the best things are happening.
Been a great time, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Super.
Okay. Anyway, so this chapter opens and we have returned to Richard's side with his little Gar friend. And little dude made it through the Valley of the Lost, like, real fucking easy somehow.
Yeah, there's no explanation whatsoever how this little Gar gets through there. But the chapter, it opens with him, like, growling over Richard's shoulder while he's trying to shoot an arrow into a rabbit, I believe.
Wolverine! We live in Michigan! How'd you not get that?
You're right, there's absolutely no excuse. I apologize.
I know, I was like, fucking Wolverine,
The second it came out of my mouth, I was like, that's not right. Nope. Not a fucking rabbit. So, this Gar is growling over his shoulder, and it's not immediately clear that him and the Gar are buddies.
Oh yeah, that it's our little friend Gar.
Yeah, like, okay, he saved it, but even so, even if it was the same one, like, oh shit, it followed him. Maybe it wants to hurt him now.
Yeah, maybe it's, like, hungry.
It flew away and realized, you killed my mom, you asshole. Wait, I don't like you. That's right. Anyways,
Turn your back on me.
I thought that was cool, how at first you're like, oh shit, it's a Gar. And then, no, he's with Richard. It's all good.
Yeah, it's cool. And after Richard kills the Wolverine, the Gar actually goes and grabs the arrow for him. So that was really, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like
he's
a
got
dog.
it trained.
Yeah. Fetch!
That was a trick, because it didn't just go retrieve the arrow and bring it back to Richard. Like a dog would just grab your kill and bring it back to you. It took the arrow, wiped it off, and then put it into his quiver for him.
Yeah, Richard was like, I don't want it. Put it back. Okay, asshole.
That's a hell of a trick.
No, it was really cool.
That's like training your dog to bring you a beer and then take your empty and bring it back to, like, the recyclable bin, you know?
I know, people do that all the time, and I don't understand how they do that.
Yeah, no, it's not happening with Loki. He's a smart dog, too. I think he could figure it out. I just don't know how you would train him to do it.
He just keeps giving you that look like, what? Yeah, I know you want something. I don't know what. Bark? You want me to bark?
Yeah, you want me to be loud at 3 a.m.? But these Gars are super, super smart. So he's picking up on these things fast. Maybe more intelligent than a dog. Not quite human level intelligence. Are we getting? Well, it's young. It's young, so there's that. It just may not know.
Yeah.
But it learns fast. And Richard picks up on that immediately.
Right. He doesn't think it can live on its own yet. But he knows that feeding it is probably not the best idea. Like, feeding wildlife in general is usually not great because they're supposed to fend for themselves, otherwise they might die.
Yeah, but if you want it to be your buddy,
Right. If you want a wildlife friend. Sorry, I just started thinking about Aaron and his little squirrel friend and like Tara.
Yeah. Aaron is nursing a little squirrel back to life, and I want desperately to see pictures of it again.
And I'm pretty sure the last time we talked about it, he literally said, I know it's a terrible idea and I shouldn't do it, but I want him to be my friend.
But I'm doing it.
So it's very similar. It's Richard knows it's not a good idea. He knows if Verna sees this little dude, she will probably kill it, but it keeps him company and like tries to imitate him. And even though it can't talk, he's fairly positive it doesn't have the capability to talk. It sounds like it could, like it's trying to.
Now, hasn't Zed spoken to a short-tailed gar before?
Yes, but I believe at least the gar spoke in gar speak.
Gar speak. Okay, but so that's not like English, or this isn't English. Standard? Basic?
Yes.
Okay, standard. I think that's what it was. That's a guess. But it wasn't this.
No.
Like the language we're using right now.
No.
Okay, so Zed spoke another language. I noticed that Richard didn't know if it had the capacity to speak, when it very clearly is making mouth sounds and stuff at him, and we know that Zed spoke to one, so it can speak, even if it's not English.
Right.
It can.
And it can understand what he's saying. Like, he's like, yo, go get the arrow. Put it back in the pack.
Yeah.
Like, it clearly understands speech.
It gets words.
Yeah. But Richard doesn't want it to go off on its own because it's like his one little spot of unconditional love. And, you know, like, I get that. That's like my cat.
Well, he's pretty alone right now. Shit is not going very well for Richard.
Right. So you have something that just adores you and doesn't talk back. You like it.
Yeah. Yeah, this gar's list of shit that it doesn't do was funny to me. Richard's like, it doesn't talk back, it doesn't argue, it doesn't criticize me. It's like, well, duh, yeah, that's your new best friend. I get it. But, like, I like tigers, too, and they don't do that. But that doesn't mean I make a tiger a pet.
Yeah, well, it might eat your face off. So far, this thing hasn't eaten his face off, so best friend material.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Richard decides this little guy needs a name. He does the whole Tarzan Jane thing and teaches it his name. We come to find out that the little creature has a name, and it is pretty awesome. It's Gratch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've read the series before, you know Gratch. We love Gratch.
Gratch is fucking awesome. It's funny that it never occurred to Richard that it had a name. When you think about, like, okay, this is random, but a cow. The mom cow does not name the baby cow. It's not a thing that happens in, like, nature. Some, oh man, I want to say chimpanzees do have specific sounds, but it's not like a name.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing. It's a thing that happens with them specifically, but this is a sign of intelligence among the species as a whole, right?
Yeah.
If the dude has a name, then there's a system in place for at least identifying people. They have to have a gar community somewhere where, like, there's mom and dad gars and, like, elders, and maybe it's not quite that organized, but if there's names, that's just a thing. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but they're not so animalistic as maybe they've been made out. Of course, they're nasty, scary, terrifying beasts, but they have a heart.
Yeah, it kind of lends to the idea that they have some way to communicate with each other. Otherwise, my other thought was that he named himself, like, in that moment. He was like, oh, that's what you're called? I want to be called Chair.
I'm trash.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because Gratch is the opposite of how he mispronounces Richard's name. He always says Richarg, and then Charg is Gratch backwards. So that's something you'll never unknow.
Oh, well, that's way deeper with that than I thought.
I was listening to the chapter today, and that just occurred to me, and I was like, oh, holy shit. And so I wanted to share it with you. I found
all
a
of
thing.
you.
I'm sure it was purely unintentional, but I was like, oh, look at that.
Look at that neat little tidbit.
He's like, I'm like you, because we're talking and eating stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. He was just like, oh, that's a cool sound. I'll just repeat it to you backwards. See? Everything's lining up now.
It's all good.
By the way, Jim Bond's Gratch voice is something. Yeah, it's interesting, to say the least. He's trying something, though.
He's trying. It was a definite voice. He's trying to make it sound gurgly, like it doesn't speak much,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. Yeah, I guess that's all that really needs to be said about that.
That's the end of that.
It was, if you guys have the Audible, you get it.
We all know.
Jim Bond, keep doing your thing, buddy. You're okay.
So the two of them wrestle and cuddle for a little while, and then Richard decides he needs to kill a rabbit for him and Verna to eat.
Well, he's a growing seeker. He's got to eat.
Well, and apparently he just wants to show off more of his little... Maybe he just wants to practice with Gratch and not eating the shit he grabbed.
Maybe he can't believe that he taught him to fetch. He's like, all right, phew, go get that.
Yeah.
And when he does it, it's like, holy shit, he could be so useful. He's a friend, a protector. Like, how badass would it be to have a Gar just like be your dude?
Yeah.
Instead of somebody happening upon the seeker on a mission, he happens upon a seeker and a fucking Gar. Be like, Gratch, go kill that dude. And then, done.
Are you kidding me? Nobody happens upon you if you have a fucking Gar.
That's true. Oh, but he would have to keep the blood flies away. That would be the only thing.
I mean, we're best friends. If your blood flies fucking bite me, we're gonna have a problem.
We're no longer friends.
Yeah. You talk
your
to them
flies off
fuckers.
of me.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's too much to ask, Gratch, that you just keep your flies to yourself.
To be fair, he doesn't have any.
That's, well, yet. I'm thinking long term, I guess.
Do you think he's just gonna acquire them? Like he'll find some flies on some real gross stuff and just smear them on his belly? Or
yeah,
is it
he
like...
just goes walking in the woods, and then he happens across a fly, and he's like, hey, dude, come on, let's go get some dinner. And then the fly finds it, and that's how they know.
But it would have to be like a dead Gar or something, right? Because like they're special flies.
There will be no more questions.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
So once Richard gets back to camp after he said goodbye to Gratch, and Gratch is like, cool, dude, peace, see you tomorrow night. He gets back and he asks Verna if she's done being pissy with him, and the answer is a no. So she asks if he doesn't really get why she's pissed off, and then it goes into explaining to him that he was making choices without thinking about his consequences, launching into another long-ass lecture where she wants him to know he always has a choice.
That's true, but I want to pick a fight with somebody here. If you don't know what the choices are, how can you pick them?
I mean, yeah, the issue with the conversation for me was that he kept being like, that was the only choice I had. And she's like, no, you had another one. And he was like, what was it? And crickets. There was like nothing. She had no answer for him, period.
Right. I just think that, man, when you're telling somebody, hey, okay, great, I didn't do it your way, I'm sorry, but I was doing all I could to, like, survive in the moment, so I'm sorry I didn't do that the proper way, but, like, at least I fucking lived, so maybe I'll do it better next time. If, like you said, you can tell me what I was supposed to do differently. And she even goes, no, I'm not saying you were wrong for acting. Like, just not that. Well, I could have ran to the left. No, you can't run left. Well, we can climb over it. No, you can't do that either. It's like, well, what am I expected to do then?
God damn it, Verna.
And on top of that, had I followed you into the Valley of the Lost, I would have been lost too. So, like, you're welcome again. Don't tell me how wrong I was when I saved your ass. 2 times.
Right? So she asks him about any bug bites he may have gotten while in the valley. And then she pulls out a whole bunch of little jars and shit from the horses and mixes up a weird paste to put on his sores. And then Also,